Hello, hello. Check, check. How are you, Mrs. Amir? Live chat. I think I'm all plugged in. I think I'm good to go. Sorry, I'm a couple minutes late as usual. 12,000 things to do, and it's just silly. And now I'm looking at my hat and thinking that I'm blocking too much light from my face, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to hide my shady eyes, my shifty eyes. I'll give you a second to respond. So I am battling allergies, something fierce. I could just cry, not out of tears of sadness or frustration, but simply tears of what is going on with my sinuses. Like my eyes are just burning. So I'm just going to suffer through it rather than. I have a handkerchief here too. So let me apologize in advance for when I need to blow my nose and a bees. I can see it a little bit, even though I don't have my glasses on. Everything sounds good. Well, it's not going to for long because I'm going to get into some crazy mofo crap. OMG, you guys, I'm just going to get straight to it because everything I say is simply my opinion for the sake of hoping to start a conversation, open up a discussion, learn something. All my videos are made for YouTube. It's an infotainment platform. Okay. I have my notebook. I have two notebooks, two of the three, but the third one's been missing for a long time, so there's no new notes in it. Anyway, this is what I want to say, and then they're going to shut my sound off. You just watch, and then we'll start another stream, and they'll shut it off again. Okay, so I mentioned a couple days ago that I saw on Down the Rabbit Holes video, one of her videos, and now I've seen it other places too, that it was on the tarmac the day after Virginia Guiffre was found deceased at her property, and a reporter asked Trump what he thought of her passing away. And this is a thing that I just thought of while I was gardening, I think this morning. And I was like, ah, how did he know who she was? Seriously. I don't care if she was suing his ex-friend, Jeffrey Epstein. He shouldn't have known her effing name unless he knows her name. So he said, it's really sad, when he should have given that standard answer that he always gives when he's caught with his hand in the cookie jar. I don't know anything about it. This is the first time I've heard anything of it. So weird, in my humble conspiracy theory opinion, allegedly. So I used for my thumbnail a photograph of Mrs. T. Ew, can you imagine being Mrs. T and having to touch him? So I don't know if that's actually her on her birthday with Donny at the Pope's funeral in Italy. She looked like a man, and her skin is a lot more wrinkly than I would ever imagine she would allow her skin to be. Like, she would be doing some nips and tucks to take care of that. At first I thought, okay, it's the bad lighting and more wrinkles will show up when you're in bad light. But then I thought, it's her. She's not going to have a single wrinkle. I mean, I don't care how old she is. She's going to get herself shellacked, right? So I'm not so sure that that's her. It was her birthday, and I had wondered in advance, like, how are they going to handle this? Like, we know it's her 55th birthday, kind of a mile marker. So I don't know. I don't even know if that's her. So in the little thumbnail, there's a couple of little white things behind her head. It kind of looks like she had horns and somebody broke them off. So I just thought that was poetic. And And then I put the phrase Donny2DOLL-1 in there. And I forgot to tell you guys, I don't think I've ever mentioned how much I love David Lawrence. He's another MSNBC news correspondent who kind of gives a opinion piece almost daily. He took a couple of weeks off recently because he was just so fed up with all this crap, and I missed him dearly. Anyway, he did a really good opinion piece last night about Donny2DOLL-1, which was the name that he came up with for the Donald if he had a character on The Sopranos, which, you know, he is a character on The Sopranos. Mr. Tough Guy. Forget about it. He said that a few days ago. Forget about it. He often sounds like Tony Soprano's Kingpin, right? Anyway, the whole thing with the dolls, I'll brush over it real quick in a minute. Let me first read everything you're saying. And let me tag because I can. My thing is still working. Pin message. Hey, Jazz, Mrs. Amir, everyone. Everything sounds good right for the moment. Thanks so much for being here, you guys. You are just so cool. It's so nice. Like, do you have your coffee? Do you have your tea so we can have our little tea party? So the thought that I wanted to finish about Donny2DOLL-1, in case you missed it, or for anybody who's watching that didn't see it yet, there was a thing yesterday. I didn't watch it because I just can't. I'm kind of overdosed on too much T Factor. I guess he did like a 2-hour skit around the what was it? I guess they call it a cabinet meeting skit. It was like 2 hours of sucking up and stuff. But at one point, and I've seen this clip a few times on different news channels, including David Lawrence's, Trumpster Fire says some stuff about how, you know, so what if your kid can't have 30 dolls this year for Christmas because the shelves are going to be empty. So they have 2 dolls, whatever. And yeah, they might be a few bucks more, whatever. Get on with your life. I don't want to hear about it. Tell it to the hand because the face don't want to listen. That was Donny2DOLL-1's attitude about what he's done to the economy, and not just our economy in our country, but for the world. I mean, a lot of people don't have 30 dolls for their kids. I mean, yeah, a lot of people do. And that kind of materialism, no, we don't need it. Kids need to know what Christmas is really about, in my opinion. But our whole capitalist economy is built around Christmas. You might not realize this if you haven't worked in retail or wholesale. For me, it goes back to my jewelry designing days. Your entire economy, 12 months of the year, is built around December 25th and all the sales leading up to that day. And then you flatline it for January and February. You try to breathe a little life into the economy for Valentine's Day, but it never works because you're so freaking flatlined by then. And then spring comes around and you start to breathe a little bit, like Easter. So summer sales get good. Fall sales are great because everybody's buying for Christmas. But if you're wholesaling, people are pretty much done with their Christmas wholesale orders by September, like the end of September at the latest. Like, you're not going to get wholesale orders after September. At least I didn't in my little cottage industry that I did. And, you know, I would do like art shows. That the art show season was like in the summer and in the fall and all the way up to Christmas. There was a thing called the Victorian Christmas Art and Craft Festival out in the Seattle area that really helped, so that as a small business owner, I could have sales all the way up until close to Christmas, because then you're not going to get a damn thing for all of January, all of February. Like I said, maybe a smidge in February if you're lucky. Probably not. Don't hold your breath. Anyway, so, you know, that's what people are talking about right now with the ships China shipments that are down like 36% at the Los Angeles ports next week. Tomorrow's May 2nd. Today is May 1st. So people are bracing themselves. And what, UPS laid off 20,000 people yesterday or the day before? I think it was the day before. It might have been yesterday. It's hard to keep up, man. It's all such a blur. It's such a freaking blur. I got to get my coffee. Have a H2O. Can't drink coffee. It makes my arthritis worse. Oh, I'm so sorry, but maybe you don't miss it either. I love water. So yeah, enjoy the water. I'm going to finish off my coffee and then switch over to the water. Well, we don't need to be buying so many things anyway for Christmas. Absolutely. But that's not the point. I mean, I 100% agree. My point is that Donny2DOLL-1 doesn't understand that much of the world doesn't have that problem of too many dolls for their kids for Christmas. That's like a first world problem. So he just doesn't have a clue that one of the products that I'm worried about not being on the shelves, and I mentioned this yesterday, is medications. I would think over the counter as well as prescription medications, that's going to be a huge problem. Huge. And that people could possibly pass away from running out of their medications and not being able to get a hold of them. I think it's going to be severe. And yeah, I don't like to be materialistic on Christmas, although it is fun doing some gift giving. I like to keep it pretty low key. Same with birthdays. I like it to be about the family and about getting together and about, not to be corny, but baby Jesus. I mean, that's what I like to celebrate. And then for birthdays, I just like to celebrate family. So I've tried really hard over the years to kind of underplay it or play it down, because as a parent, it seems like each year you're trying to outdo the previous year. Your kids expect a lot. And I have, I think, pretty successfully transitioned the expectations to be on having a really nice family dinner. We usually go out for everybody's birthday, and it's a big family, so that's a big bill. And, people get gifts, of course, but Christmas, I just try not to overdo it. Try again to have a nice meal and, go to a service. We do a candlelight service at our church that is really awesome, like an 11 o'clock service that goes until midnight. It's pretty sweet. So yeah. Anyway, not everybody celebrates Christmas, but our entire American economy revolves around Christmas. So let me guzzle the coffee and finish up a thought or two. Donny2DOLL-1. So then the third picture on my thumbnail is Ivana. It's a gorgeous picture of Ivana. I used it once before on a thumbnail. It's a very old picture. I'm going to guess she's about 30 years old. She was a model. She was 5'11". She was very over the top with her sense of style. And I've said this before, but I kind of embrace it with her because she's from a different culture, and she seemed like a pretty down-to-earth person, actually, when it came to morals and ideas and family and just being a person. Like, she seemed like a real person, as much as she was living in a pretty odd reality. But she embraced it. She embraced that part of herself. And she's in that room that is just like everything is gold. It looks like a fake room, but I'm sure it's a real room. It's probably like her dining room or something. And then she's wearing this gorgeous purple dress, and it looks like she has wings. Like she looks like a fairy or an angel or some cosmic creature from outer space. And I love that picture. Of all the pictures I've found of her online, that's probably by far and away my favorite. But I'm trying to draw a correlation because I feel it and I see it, and I want it to be fact based. I don't want to be hallucinating, connecting dots where there aren't any. One reason is because that's just stupid and irresponsible and it's slanderous. But if you have reason to believe something and you state your thoughts and feelings about it, then that's not slander. So I think, ooh, the storm is starting. I love it. I can hear the rain. I absolutely love it. I think that Ivana passing away 2 weeks and 2 days after Ghislaine Maxwell was sentenced, I think there's a connection there. I personally don't think that that's a coincidence. I think that Ghislaine Maxwell being sentenced was humongous. And you got to keep in mind, too, that this was 3 years after little E was found deceased in his cell. So he wasn't a problem anymore. He was silenced, in my opinion. He was Epsteined. And then Ghislaine was probably a live wire because she's sentenced and she might be able to turn some people in. They were probably afraid that she was going to create some kind of plea agreement, but that's not what happened. And she was sentenced to over 20 years. So she's behind bars. And then 2 weeks and 2 days later, again, this is going back to June 28th of 2022, and then July 14th of 2022, when Ivana fell down a flight of stairs in her house, allegedly. And it was the day before the 3 depositions that were starting for Donny Sr., Donny Jr., and Ivanka. They were all getting started on what was expected to be a week-long deposition for each of them about their father's fraudulent misrepresentation, gross misrepresentation of his assets in applying for loans. So on official bank documents, he lied. He said that his 3,000 square foot penthouse apartment was like 30,000 square foot penthouse apartment. He said that the Mar-a-Lago was worth like 1 to 1.5 billion when he actually paid 10 million for it. And when he paid 10 million for it, only 5 million of that was for the actual house. 3 million of that was for the furniture in it, and another 2 million was for 400 feet of waterfront property. So where it's located, Mar-a-Lago, is Palm Beach. Is it West Palm Beach? I get confused. I think it's West Palm Beach, but either way, the nickname for the area is actually, because it's like West Palm Beach County. It is the police jurisdiction of where Mar-a-Lago is located, I believe. And that's the police department, that sheriff's department, that one officer that relocated to Russia went to. And I've learned a little bit more about it. And what law enforcement calls that county is actually, they refer to it as Corruption County. So, yeah, Palm Beach County. Yeah, not West Palm Beach, just Palm Beach County. And that was Sheriff's Deputy John Mark Dugan, that fled in 2016 after 5 years with the department. So 2011 to 2016. So Pam Bondi was I want to say the Attorney General for Florida from 2011 to 2019. And then that Alex Acosta was like a federal attorney for the state of Florida during the time frame. The initial charges against little E that came through the court system, I think, were filed in around 2006. And his Palm Beach mansion was pretty close to Mar-a-Lago. also oceanfront property, where he did a lot of his abusing of underage girls. So the first person to report his abuse was a 14-year-old, or her parents reported it. So she told her parents about it. That was in 2006. The law enforcement started the investigation. The charges were getting prosecuted in around 2008. And then I want to say that it was Alex Acosta and maybe Pam Bondi had some influence in that sweetheart of a deal, where Epstein pretty much walked away with getting a slap on the wrist, even though there were 40 victims, 40. And most, if not all of them, were aged 14 to 16. I'll put some links in the description so you know I'm not just pulling these numbers out of thin air. And yeah, I've come across all this information before, but I don't believe it just because I see it on the internet. I have to cross-reference. And then I still keep an open mind that even if it's in court documents, it doesn't mean it's true and accurate. That stuff can be BS sometimes. You have to, I think, always keep an open mind. Anyway, so Alex Acosta, when they tried to swear him into his cabinet position in Trumpster Fire's first administration, he almost didn't get sworn in because of his involvement with little E. And so when all of that happened in 2008, I want to say that at the most, little E served like 18 months, if even that. It was probably like 6 months or less. I mean, we can look it up. I will be looking it up later. And that maybe it was like 18 months of probation or community service or something insane like that. Let me just Google it real quick and keep up with you guys. I'm glad you write all this down and keep us up to date. I don't celebrate it, but we do well during Christmas too at our business. Oh, what type of business, if you don't mind sharing? Yes, Alex Acosta did get little E a great deal. So then he had to resign 2 days after E was arrested in 2019. So when he was arrested in, was it July of 2019, I think? And he was being charged, but then he wound up Epstein in his cell August 10th of 2019. And then 9 days later, Mr. Hegseth married his lovely wife, and they were both screwing each other at work, probably in the freaking janitor closet, getting pregnant, having baby, and everything when they were both married to other people. And then 2 years later, they tied the knot at one of Donny's golf courses in Jersey. I like to say not the golf course where he has Ivana in the dirt pit, but another one, a national golf course in Jersey. So the one that she's buried at is Bedminster, and it is really, really macabre. The area of the property that she's buried at is like not even barely, it's barely mowed. It looks like I don't even want to say what it looks like. It just is like completely unmanicured. It's gross. What was I looking up? What the sweetheart deal was with little E in Florida in 2008. And you got to remember who was president when little E got Epstein in his jail cell, summer of 2019. Sweetheart Epstein deal, Florida. So that guy Acosta is really gross. He reminds me a lot of Stephen Smith. Okay, so this is what the AI overview says. In 2008, when Alexander Acosta was the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida, he agreed to a plea deal with Jeffrey Epstein, granting him immunity from federal criminal charges. This deal also covered 4 named co-conspirators. Oh, I wonder who they were. And any unnamed potential co-conspirators, effectively halting an FBI investigation into Epstein's Rex crimes and potential involvement of other powerful individuals. The agreement was criticized as a sweetheart deal due to the lack of prosecution for Epstein's crimes and the potential for the investigation to be shut down. And so, November of 2020, the Justice Department said that it was poor judgment used in the Epstein plea deal. So, again, this is a year after Jeffrey was arrested the second time. And then this is prior to Ghislaine Maxwell getting arrested. And she was in hiding the whole time. Like, didn't it take them like a year to find her? So then he had to resign 2 days after Epstein was arrested in 2019. And he's pretty much not really had a career since then, it seems. The DOJ review finds Alex Acosta used poor judgment in Jeffrey Epstein deal. I put photographs of Acosta and his wife in a community post last week that I'd encourage you to check out, just because she looks really disgusted or disgusting or both. He looks super, super gross. Like, he looks like somebody who eats souls for breakfast, lunch, and dinner and dessert. He really does. He looks completely evil. And she doesn't look so completely evil as she looks so completely freaked out. Like, the looks on her face in the photographs that I chose are pretty freaking unbelievable. And I think that they're from when he got sworn into the Trumpster fire cabinet the first time. So she was well aware of all the allegations against him because they were trying to prevent him from getting sworn in. And they also had 2 little girls at the time, and the little girls looked pretty spooked too. It's just really hideous what these people do to other people. And I think that for the most part, they don't have ethics, they don't have morality, they don't have empathy, and they certainly don't give a flying F about women. So even when they have little baby girls themselves, like, they just treat women like they're dirt. Which, yeah, speaking of which, it is now being estimated that the Big E might already have like 100 children. Have you guys heard that in the last 24 hours? There's people with some information that points to that. So it's not been proven yet, but it's believed that the Big E has fathered over 100 kids already. So another deeper dive that I've been doing is learning more about eugenics, and it is so disgusting. You guys probably know a little bit about eugenics. And the Big E's goal is to have like 5,000 babies, I think. Ugh. Are you real? 5,000? Like, that's a pretty big small town, 5,000. That's like a medium-sized university population, 5,000. That's a lot. That's a lot. I'm trying to put it into like the context of like, that's more than the number of people that passed away in the September 11 Twin Towers getting crashed into by the airplanes. I think that was about 3,600. And it was about 50,000 people that worked in those 2 Twin Towers, I think, combined. So, yeah, 5,000. What else is like 5,000? Oh, how many babies Elon thinks he needs to have. Okay. Okay, enough of the mind bending. Okay. But they probably knew little E was going to sing. Well, and yeah, he would have had dirt on everybody. Little T is so gross for doing that to his kid's mom. Little T is so gross for doing that to his kid's mom. Thank you, Anna Bees. I know. I mean, all this stuff is so freaking over the top atrocious. And we don't have proof that he did that to his mom. So you could say you're jumping to a conclusion, you're being a crazy conspiracy theorist, but it just looks a little too obvious. And especially, you combine like the man's worlds were closing in, crushing him with the little E crap, the Maxwell crap, and this financial stuff that was going to prevent him from being able to run for president again. And those 3 depositions got postponed indefinitely. They all got rescheduled and completed. And that's where his 34 felonies come from, is from that same fraud case. 34 felony convictions. But they were able to drag that out so that it didn't prevent him from being a viable candidate on the ballot this past election cycle, which is insane. I mean, all that court manipulation, all of the games and tricks, it's just gross. And in the meantime, you've got people that are getting assaulted, their lives are being destroyed, and they might end up falling down a flight of stairs or being found deceased at their ranch, I believe that Virginia Guiffre is the 3rd of little E's victims that we know of that is no longer living. So the 3rd. And, these are people that are not that old. They're like they were in their 30s, 20. I think one was in her 20s, one was in her 30s, and then Virginia was 41. iHip News said Big E fathered 100 kids. Yeah, Anna Bees, thank you. That is one of the videos that I watched last night. Yes. And they are just really good. They're great. I love them. And that was Merrick Garland's fault. Yeah, see, I'm not that familiar with Merrick Garland. It's crazy to know these people's names and faces, like Alex Acosta or Jean-Luc Brunel or this other guy, John Mark Dugan. I mean, a lot of people know who these people are and a lot of people don't. So when John Mark Dugan fled to Russia for his safety, he had learned about the corruption within that corruption county, shall we call it, where Mar-a-Lago is and where little E had his lair, one of his lairs. So that might have been part of it. Again, to remind anyone who doesn't know the connection, that Virginia Guiffre was an employee at Mar-a-Lago when Ghislaine Maxwell and little E first got their claws into her. So they preyed on her at Mar-a-Lago, basically, which a lot of people don't realize that connection. And then, even though she worked there, why would little D know her name, or little T, if we want to call him that? Why would the Donald know her name? Because there's thousands of employees that have worked there over the years. I'm sure thousands and thousands. So he's not going to know their names. And I'm sure a lot of them have had legal trouble. He's not going to know their names. But as soon as a reporter asked him about Virginia Guiffre on the tarmac, and I think that was on his way to the Pope's funeral on Saturday. I think it might have been on the way back, but I'm thinking it was on the way there. But it was on the tarmac, and his response was cool as a cucumber. He was just like, "Yeah, that's really sad." It's like, how do you even know anything about it? Like, why would anybody be telling you about it, and why would you be remembering about it? So let me segue into the fact, allegedly, that Prince uh, William and his daddy, King Charles, had an emergency meeting a day or two after Guiffre was found deceased at her ranch. And allegedly, Prince Andrew's been in hiding ever since. So, an emergency meeting is pretty telling, and going into hiding is pretty telling too, you freaking idiots. But we like that these scum tell on themselves. For that, we can thank them, right? Yeah, I know. Anna B's, I'm really not believing that she offed herself. Like, that was kind of my knee jerk reaction. The first time I spoke about it on my channel, which was probably 2 days after it happened, because I learned about it on a Friday night, and then I didn't make a video about it until Sunday. And I wasn't even really deliberating whether she did it to herself or not. I was like, that's immaterial. Either way, they did it to her. Either way. But now, as more information is coming to the surface, I want to know if she had pets, because a lot of people rely on having dogs as safety, especially if they live alone on a large parcel of property like she did. So I want to know if there were dogs out there and what they know. Have they been questioned? Don't we always wish that the dogs could talk? They always have the dirt, right? Poor things. Altogether, we know who all these people are. We're watching you. Yeah, and I think that these people, Annabes, and I'm going to guess that you agree with this, but I'm not saying that you do. You can say whether you do or not. That these people, like, that's who we have as the leader of our country. And, Bill Clinton had a connection there too with little E, and at least one of the victims who named him in particular. But in naming him in particular, they named the current president at the exact same time. They said that in the 2016 election, that was when they had to speak out about their victimization that they'd been trying to forget about for so many years. They had to speak out about it because it was just so freaking crazy that one of them was running for the president's office and the other one was married to a prior president and was running for the president's office. So the 2016 election. Ugh. And these poor victims, my goodness. 40 underage victims in that first case in 2008. Alex Acosta should be put in prison. I think all these people should be put in prison. And I think that they realize that that's where they would go. And that's why they keep offing people to try to avoid the inevitable. And, they're just buying time. And then if it can be proven that they're connected to these crimes and more crimes, they're only making it worse. Like, it just boggles my mind that people think of red rum as a solution to a problem. I mean, as a mental health counselor, I would say that self harm is a permanent solution to a temporary problem, but so is red rum. That's a permanent solution to a temporary problem too. I mean, it's really crazy that people do that to other people. And I mean, that's largely what this whole true crime community is built on. And, we all know that there's the really dark side and dark underbelly of the world that the elites live in. It's pretty freaking grisly. Surveillance videos too, Mrs. Amir. I agree. Yeah, I think she probably had all kinds of cameras out there. I think any reasonable woman would, especially when she knows that the royal family doesn't like her very much and would rather have her not be breathing. So, in addition to so many other people, but just one example of some extremely influential and wealthy parties that would prefer her to not exist, that you'd be insane to not have surveillance cameras. And it's my guess that all the surveillance cameras were either glitching out and not working, or that we'll never even be told that they existed. Because that's pretty much standard how this crap goes. I mean, for instance, with little E's passing away in prison, the story, the official narrative is that all the guards fell asleep simultaneous with all of the surveillance cameras glitching out. But remember, who was president? So this was, maximum security prison in New York City that has held the likes of cartels safely and kept them from getting unalived or self-injury. They know how to handle those situations, is what I'm saying. And those guards don't sleep on the job. I mean, law enforcement doesn't sleep on the job. It doesn't matter if you work overnight. I mean, just like medical staff doesn't sleep on the job. Firefighters sleep on the job because they usually work 24-hour shifts. So they sleep when they can. But there's a lot of professional positions that require you to be awake the entire time. Taking naps is not an option. You get fired for that. You're expected to be alert and keeping the peace. I mean, Bill Clinton had a Rex addiction. Well, don't you think that our current El Presidente might too, Annabes? Like yesterday, I was talking about a potential gambling addiction. He certainly's got a money addiction, which usually people have the money addiction because of gambling debts. And then the Rex addictions too. And I think that he's probably abusing substances like Coca-Cola or Adderall or whatever. I mean, the Coca-Cola substance is one that has always been extremely popular and common with the elites. I mean, that's just standard. And we all remember Donny Jr. rubbing his gums at that horse. What was it? A horse race that he was at with his dad right after they won the election, or right after they stole the election. Let's just say it like it is. So there is a peaceful protest that has started today in Washington, D.C. I think it started at noon. And I think that they're planning on continuing the protest until El Presidente is impeached. That's what I believe is the plan, that it's going to be 24/7 until impeachment is complete. That's the goal anyway. So more power to them. And for anybody who's interested in showing up on the steps of the courthouse, of course, safety is always a primary concern. And having gone to a major peaceful protest like that in Washington, D.C. a few years ago, it was right after I was going to say Sandy Hook shooting, but no, it was the high school in Florida. It was that shooting that then transpired the march on DC. And my family and I went to that. And it was a lot of people. And I was concerned at first about safety. And then seeing how law enforcement handles large crowds and safety, because I figured that there'd be a lot of basically like National Rifle Association nuts out there, and that it could get ugly. But they've got peaceful protests going on in Washington, D.C. routinely, and lots of people traveling through the city routinely. So they have a very good system, and I would expect full safety to be maintained. Although honestly, every time I think about something like that, I live in Ohio, I think of Kent State. So it's all too real. And we know that Donny wanted to have law enforcement just wound people in the kneecaps during the BLM peaceful protests in 2020. Like, he literally was like, why can't we just shoot him in the kneecaps? What's wrong with that? And his handlers had to be like, no, sir, Mr. President, we can't do that. That's not how it's done. So, yeah, hideous. Anyway, let's see what you guys are saying, and let's look at my notes. I've hardly looked at my notes at all. But I did finish my coffee, so one goal has been attained. Alex Acosta, Little T, Stephen Miller, Big E, so many others belong in prison. 1,000% Annabes. So yeah, that interview that I was talking about yesterday with Terry Moran that happened the day before yesterday in the Oval Office. I'm sure anybody who watches TV or YouTube has seen at least pieces of that interview, and I've seen more of it, and it is just atrocious. It's so crazy. It is just so insane. I just can't even believe that this is where we're at. Like, how did we get a giant Tony Soprano toddler in office? How? Have you realized that no one is reporting about Scientology lately? Oh, wow. And all the televangelists with the dark money belong in prison. Yeah. Anna, you are absolutely correct. Thank you, Mrs. Amir. I've seen little pieces of the interviews. I know they're just gnarly to watch. I mean, I think I watched most of it up front, not realizing that it was going to be overplayed so much. So, a few parts I've seen again and again, and I wanted to talk about the Trump derangement syndrome because I'm pretty sure that Donny has it. Like, that's where it started. It's sort of like COVID. I think that's where it started. So I think he's got full-blown Trump derangement syndrome. I mean, he is so off the wall. Not just that he's claiming that he thinks that those letters that are photoshopped on the hands of Garcia, not just that he thinks that those are tattooed also, because even though he does a really good job, a very convincing job that he does indeed believe that. I mean, he's just cantankerous and adamant and belligerent and argumentative and just won't let go of it. I still think that it could be an act. I still think that he could just be trying to distract everybody with his crazy crap, just like the cats and dogs. Like, I never believed that he believed that the Haitians were eating the cats and dogs in Springfield, but he might have believed it. He certainly acted like he believed it, especially when he said it on stage. But when that was happening in real time, because I was watching that debate live, I thought he was trying to pull the crazy card. I thought he was just trying to derail the entire thing because it wasn't going well. And so he was just like, I'm just going to flip this table upside down. So I've never been convinced that he really believed that either. but he certainly does a good job. If he's acting like he does believe it, he's a convincing actor, which he probably is, because I mean, he's convinced everybody that he's like a successful businessman. And I guess his staff just like straight up lie to him about things because he's so difficult to handle. And so that's just like pouring fire on the gasoline. Yeah. That's just like pouring gasoline on the fire, right? Um Little T was so disrespectful. OMG. And Terry Moran, I've followed his career for a while because he's a regular on, I can't remember if it's MSNBC or other news channels, but he's a regular. He's very respectable and reputable. And he did a great job holding his ground during that interview. And I wanted to amend what I had said, because I had said that I lost a little bit of respect for him during the interview, but I didn't watch all of it initially. I was watching parts of it. So seeing the entire thing, he did a fantastic job. The look on his face before the interview started, when Donny was just like showing him the pictures on the wall of the presidents that he likes, and the the Constitution. OMG. And then Terry was asking Donny questions the way a journalist would ask questions. And it was just unbelievable, Donny's answers, and the expressions on Terry's face just said it all. It was hilarious. I mean, you could just kind of see what was going on behind his eyes, and he kept his cool. And then, like, even during the interview, when Donny was getting really argumentative with him, when Terry asked Donny if he trusted Pete 100%, and he said, I don't trust anyone 100%. If anybody tells you anything 100%, then they're liars, which was funny because he says 100% all the time. He just said 100% about the 200 countries that he had negotiations in the works with. I can't remember which interviewer that was that did a great job. That was like, oh, really? 200 countries, huh? And he's like, yeah, 100%. It was just a couple of days before he then says, anybody who says 100%'s lying. It's just like, OMG. So, the 100%, the 200%, my brain is just like a little cartoon with all the springs popping out of it. And that's what gaslighters do to you. That's their game. That's how they roll. That's how they continue to just like bulldoze through all the crap that they continue to bulldoze through. So, yeah, there were a couple of thoughts in there that I don't think I finished the thought, and that drives me nuts when especially, maybe I shouldn't review this one, because if I review it and I never got back to finishing a thought, I'm just like, I've had it with this chick. Who does she think she is anyway? But what was it about Terry Moran, and when the part about Pete Hegseth, and do you trust him 100%? And he says no. And then that's what it was. Donny says, I don't even trust that we'll get through this interview right now. And Terry's like, oh yeah, we'll get through this interview. It was hilarious. Did you see that part, Anna? It was hilarious. Like, Terry Moran likes a challenge, and this is his job, and this was his mission. And he was like, oh no, dude, we're getting through this interview. Like, F you. You're going to get through this interview with me, whether you like it or not. I just thought it was great. He really held his own at that point. But the other thing I wanted to say too, I hadn't been able to get this in yet, is that when Trumpster Fire said to him, like, you're being what did he say? You're being mean? You're being rude? I think he said, you're not being very nice. I think that's what Trumpster Fire said to him. You're not being very nice. And you got this interview. I picked you for this interview because I'd never heard of you. And you're blowing it, basically, was what he was saying. And it was just like, man, the douchebag is so threatening. Like, yeah, it's a big feather in Terry's cap to get that interview, to land that interview. I'm sure a lot of the people in his company wanted to be the one to land that interview. And a lot of them probably didn't. And he was probably dying to land it. And I mean, I think he was so confident in himself and his ability to like put a sock in it and bite his tongue and to ask the questions that he came in to ask. And that was the whole problem when he was trying to get from the MS-13 photoshopped in that picture of Garcia's hand, and Trumpster Fire wouldn't let the subject go. And Terry, like, practically like 10 times was like, I'm trying to ask you a question about Ukraine. Like, okay, so it's photoshopped. Okay, so whatever. Like, let's just move on. Let's get over to this really pertinent question that I have about Ukraine. So that's where you have to wonder, is he being just a cantankerous, deranged old man that can't let this go? Or is this his gaslighting, trying to prevent Terry from getting to the question about Ukraine? Right? MF. Rat bastard. It just makes your head spin. And yeah, Terry was down for the challenge and he did an excellent job. So I want to take back what I said about my respect for him coming down a notch. It actually went up a few notches. Go, Terry. That part was completely absurd. Annabees missed that. Oh, yes, all those words. I love that. Little T said, I picked you because I didn't know who you were. Right. And he's just trying to like hit home that you're a nobody, which is funny because Terry Moran has a pretty substantial reputation. He's famous. He's not a nobody. People know his name. People know his face. I'm pretty sure he works on World News Tonight with David Muir, and everybody that's on World News Tonight with David Muir is of a very high caliber. I don't think they have anybody on there that's subpar. I mean, it's mainstream media, so I'm not always like down with their thing, but they're the ones that moderated the debate even. That was like Lindsay, I think that's her first name, and then David Muir, and there might have been a third one, but it might have just been the two of them. But that whole thing about, why do you fact check everything I say? You're not fact checking Kamala. It's like, well, Kamala's not throwing out all this crazy crap that's not true. So they're not needing to fact check her, you weirdo. Like, again, he's just so used to surrounding himself with sycophants and then telling anybody to take a hike that is going to question him. So he's not used to people questioning him. And it's like, yeah, people will fact check you. We all have these little gadgets that we can Google anything we want and find out the gist of it in like 2 seconds flat. So prepare yourself when you're in the real world that people don't need to run to the library and check out an encyclopedia to find out if what you're saying is true and accurate or not. They don't need to go interview other people to figure out if what you're saying is true and accurate. For the most part, they can just Google it and get a pretty clear picture of what the big picture might be. I mean, it's not always accurate and it's not always detailed. It's not always correct, but it gives you an idea. So what is wrong with a little fact checking? A little fact checking never hurt anybody, did it? Okay. I'm surprised I haven't sneezed. I haven't had to rub my nose, but that's just because I've been talking nonstop. That part was completely absurd. Yeah, the whole thing was kind of completely absurd. Um, mm, yeah. It was also weird, just like with the meeting that he had with Vladimir Zelensky in Italy before the Pope's services. Just like being in the middle of the room with these two chairs facing each other, just a few feet away, leaning in. I I'm thinking that he's trying to be intimidating because I mean, that's just like a weird personal space. Like, why not sit a little bit at an angle, or, maybe have tables there so that you can have water or coffee, a little table to set your thing down on, maybe the desk, they were sitting in front of the Resolute desk. Um, and it was just so bizarre the way Donny was like, and this is my Resolute desk. Oh my goodness, on House Sparks, when Donny was like giving him the tour of the Oval Office, Hal at first was joking, but I think that it's true and accurate. And I think he said it as a joke and then realized it's true and accurate, is that the Donald might believe that being voted into office is being voted into the actual physical Oval Office. So he believes that he was voted into the office and here he is in the office. Like, he doesn't realize that that's more of like an abstract notion. Like, the Oval Office could be under construction, it could have been blown up. You might not have an actual Oval Office, but you're still voted into office. You're still in the office no matter where you are. But the way that the Trumpster fire was talking about the office, like, he's just so concrete in his thinking. He's so unable to wrap his mind around an abstract idea. It's kind of frightening. It's kind of frightening. Anyway, um, I asked one of my friends who is a little T fanboy, what are you going to do when there's nothing good on TV or when the music sucks and etc. He said I was being dramatic. So you reminded me, Anna Bees, of Trumpster Fire at his little celebration lap that he ran on his 100th day, where he did like a rally in Michigan, and he was like dancing on the stage. And oh man, he's just like the worst dancer in the world. They on the Daily Show they call it the double handy. I'm sorry, trigger warning. The double handy. It's almost like he's milking a cow. And then he's like turning around so you can watch him shake a da booty. No, 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 no shake a da booty. No, thank you. No, gracias. I'm good. I don't need that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Um, so let's see. Um, there we go. So many crazy ideas. Um, I think I've covered it. That's amazing. So yeah, that victory lap was in Warren, Michigan. And that's where they did that movie, like the drama movie of the people getting deported to El Salvador and then getting manhandled, and it was just all dark and it had like the fast-paced music. It was like it was a Tom Cruise movie, seriously. It was so effing creepy. Absolutely crazy. And I wanted to ask you guys, like, why do they push the um prisoners' heads down when they're making them like walk or run? Like, why are they always pushing their heads down? They're making them stoop. Do you know what that is? I don't know what that is. I mean, it's creepy AF. It's dehumanizing, it's stressful. It's like it's like what you would do with a hostage, because you don't want them to see their surroundings, because you don't want them to be able to like come back and identify you or the place. But I mean, yeah, I know that they're holding these people hostage, but it just seems like it's completely done for the dramatic effect. And yeah, Annabee's, in response to your fanboy friend, who's the drama queen? Who is the drama queen? I would say that Donny is our drama queen. I mean, he's just constantly in front of a camera 24/7. How many times does he tweet a day? Like 200? I mean, ah, unbelievable. No disrespect. I said to my friend, you white boys are not athletic enough to keep professional sports interesting. You all can't dance or sing, etc. That's hilarious. That is hilarious. Poor friend. So yeah, I really liked what you said yesterday, Anna, about the Chiefs throwing the Super Bowl. I think you're right about that. He is obsessed with himself. Absolutely. And he does do a good job of keeping all the attention on himself. But what is so frightening is, why would you want all that attention? Like, a lot of people thrive with attention, and we all need some attention, but sometimes you just don't want any attention. Sometimes you just want to like blend into the woodwork, and you just want to lay low. You don't want to be on people's radar. You just want some quiet time to yourself so you can tweet the world, caps locked. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And yeah, you just can't even keep up with um the caps locked tweets. So, and then at the end of that movie that they played at that Warren, Michigan rally, the audience just clapped and went crazy. But, I think that those people are paid actors too. The radical right extremists are always accusing the people on the left of having paid actors and faking stuff. And like, why would they even think that? Like, I think that it's another one of the situations where the gaslighters are accusing their victims of doing what they do. Like, that's what gaslighters do. It's just absolutely typical. Oh, I think they are paid actors too. Yeah, yeah. Um, everything started for Donny's presidential campaign the first time around on that golden escalator coming down, him and Melania. And allegedly, it was like 50 or 60 paid actors that were all being paid just like $50 each to show up and clap. And then they did like the tight screen of Donny and Melania coming down the escalator with the crowd clapping and waving. And then they made it look like it was a lot more people. And then, oh, he was trying to get The Apprentice to pay him more because he found out Gwen Stefani was making way more than him on The Voice or something like that. It's all her fault. And yeah. All right. I think I'm about done. What do you guys think? Is there anything else we need to talk about today? I'm sure there is. One of the things that I wanted just to throw out there, kind of a little buzz phrase, is this. Where is it? The air traffic control communications network is central to the Trumpster fire and Big E, to their scheme of being the king guardians of the galaxy universe and taking over all of the planets, including this one. I think it's one of the most important aspects of their space cowboy gangster game, the video game that is their real life that they're playing. That's what I think, in my humble conspiracy theory opinion, allegedly. So yeah, all of the networks, the communication systems, the FAA, whether it's rockets, helicopters, planes, drones. And remember those drones that were in the sky between the election and the inauguration, and Donny saying, "Yeah, man, I need to ask my people to find out what those drones are doing over Jersey." And it just was like so obvious to me from the way he was talking that he knew damn well what those drones were doing over Jersey, and that, I mean, he's the incoming president. It's his job to know. It's his job to know. He knew. So he's behind it. I mean, I just think he's behind everything. I do. I think he's a big conspiracy ringleader. I absolutely do. I'm in all seriousness. My group of 61 to 65-year-olds are narcissistic and thrive on calling people names and not caring about anyone except themselves. Your group, Anna Beach, you're so funny. The nicknames that Donny comes up for with everybody are just hilarious. Like, what was a good one? Adam Shifty Shift. Sleepy Joe. I mean, he fell asleep during the Pope's memorial service or celebration of life or whatever you want to call it. He freaking fell asleep. I used a couple photographs of him snoozing next to the man in drag that was trying to pose as his spouse on her birthday. Next to him, I used a couple of his sleepy Donny images in my thumbnail, I think from yesterday. Or maybe it was the one from the day before. They're all blending together, aren't they? Let me see. So I can try to keep it straight. Oh, Fred Field, how are you, my dear? Did you, when you left the live chat yesterday to check out what was new in the other mainstream media news, I was curious if you found anything. Because, yeah, I try to keep up to the minute. I mean, there's so much going on right now. And even when I take a few hours off to like do my yoga or my gardening or whatever, sometimes I listen to podcasts while I'm gardening, but sometimes I just like to chill, right? It's good for the soul, good for the brain. But I feel like I'm pretty up to speed anyway, because, sometimes you can go a few hours without there actually being news, but it doesn't really seem like it, does it? It seems like every 5 minutes the world's exploding in a new way, or little D's world is exploding in a new way. Little D is cute though too, because that's his problem right there, huh? A little D complex. So I was going to look at so the one from yesterday. Okay, that's why I was confused, because I had two yesterday. I had the first one that I lost my sound after the first 6 minutes. And so I used the two photographs of him sleeping side by side with the Melania bot. And then for the second one, that was like an hour and 40 minutes. I don't think he's snoozing in that one. He just looks like a pouty 3-year-old that's really wishing he could have some cake and play with his toys, but he has to sit through this boring thing with his, Mannequin wife. I don't think that's her. Do you guys think that's her? I'll put a picture again. And yeah, then the one that I used in today's thumbnail that has like the little white nubs coming up from behind her, like that is not photoshopped. That's just amazing. That's just like magic. Um so a video that I did a few days ago, you guys, the one that has little E and little T split screen, and I titled it so Virginia Guiffre, Killed, Virginia Guiffre. That video has over 300 views, which is a lot for me right now. So I'm really glad that people are showing a lot of interest in that, because it's my thought that her passing away is making the Donny have some bricks coming out of the rear end, because just her being front and center in the spotlight in the news is not good for him if he's got something to hide. And I do believe that he indeed has a lot to hide. So I was going to see if I could get one of these photographs. That's a crazy one. Let me see if I can show you guys this. She looks like, I don't know. I mean, Melania is a beautiful woman. I will give her that any day of the week. She's an absolute knockout. I really don't think that this is her. Mostly, do you see here on her neck? Do you see the what did I do? I'm just like doing a Darth Vader thing. That is awesome. That is so awesome. Let's see. But right here, okay, right under her chin, right there. There's doing it again. That is so great. That's classic. That little wrinkle on her neck skin, I don't think she'd be having that. I think she'd be getting a nip tuck. And she's also got a good wrinkle on her chin. Like, so on her neck, there's actually some of the lace or the shadow of the lace as well as the wrinkles. But right under her lip, here we go. Do you see? So she's got these big wrinkles here on her chest under the lace. This is a zooming in. There's her mouth. And then there's this big wrinkle right there. Melania Bot's not going to be having no big wrinkle right there. I mean, for crying out loud, she's only 55. I don't really have much wrinkles, and I'm a little older than her. But I don't think she'd be having those wrinkles. I think if she had them, I think she would get them nipped and tucked. I think they'd be gone. And that face just, it doesn't look like her. It looks too masculine. And it was her birthday. That's just not her. That's not her nose. I think that they had a guy in drag be her. I'm not saying that to be mean or critical. I'm saying it because I think she's 5'11". She's at least 5'10", and she's extremely slender. You're not going to find very many women that height, that slender, that look so much like her. But you might find a guy. I mean, a lot of guys are going to be that height and that weight, and then you put enough makeup on them. Maybe that's why they had the lace and the veil and everything, was to try to camouflage. Because again, to reiterate, it's her 55th birthday. Like, she's really going to sit next to Donny at this Pope's funeral on her 55th birthday? I think she's got better things to do. That's why she's wearing the lace. I've cracked the code. Also, the hair, now that I'm looking at this, there's like extremely blonde streaks in the hair that she does not have. Like, her hair is a very nice brown, like honey color. Do you see that streak? I don't think that's just the lighting. There's a streak over here too. It's harder to see because it's real dark, but there's like a long thing. I'll put this photograph in a community post when we wrap up, which is probably about now. Those eyebrows. Yeah, the eyes, the nose. The nose is too bulbous at the end. I mean, I know from doing YouTube that a lot of cameras can make your nose look more bulbous or more pointy. There's a lot of cameras that make everybody look like they have a elf on a shelf kind of nose. It's hilarious. There's a lot of cameras that slim everyone's face down just because they figure everybody wants their face slimmed down. In fact, this camera might. I mean, I've been through so many laptops, I can't remember which is which, but I know that there was one laptop that made me look way better than any of the other laptops did. And I was like, that's cool, except that I don't want to have a filter on or have, I don't want to like hide what I look like or pretend that I look like something that I don't look like. I mean, I don't want bad lighting. We know that. I don't want bad hair, but I want to just be me. So I don't want the camera to be doing that. And that one camera, it was probably the gamer laptop that was like so expensive and so high resolution. And it gave me like this little pointy nose and it gave me this nice slender face. It was pretty wild. And it definitely like, puts a nice soft light on everything. So like, even if I had bad lighting, I don't think there really was bad lighting with that laptop. I need that back. No, I'm just kidding. It was nice for other reasons too. Like this laptop, the sound glitches a lot. It's super annoying when I'm reviewing my videos. It's like words get jumbled up and stuff. It's not me, I don't think. It's the laptop. I swear. Anyway, it's Brian Koberger. That's a good one, Anna. Her mouth side by side with little T, strangely similar. So maybe maybe it's like a clone of him. Is that what you're trying to say, Mrs. Amir? There's no way she'd be allowing her nose to do that. Also, her cheek it's like the skin on her cheek is kind of loose. Like it looks like she's aged, like she needs a facelift. And I would imagine that they both get them all the time. Like just like people in Brazil, like they go and get them when they get lunch, just a little nip and a tuck right here and everything's good again. Anna B's, I missed some of this. What did I miss? How did I miss this? Missed a whole bunch. How did I do that? Okay, so after Fred came in and said, sorry, I missed live cardiologist appointment. I'm just going to speed read through everything. Probably dropping off ballots to replace the authentic ones. Hi, Fred. But I believe I'm an old soul, have many friends who are above 50 and retired. Did the not melanoma allow him to hold his or her hand? Well, and then it got me to wondering if at the inauguration when she had the spy versus spy hat on, if that wasn't the same stand-in. The spy versus spy hat wasn't just to keep from a kiss happening, it was to keep you from seeing parts that didn't look right, parts of the face. Fred, I hope your appointment went well. Exactly. Little D. Same old crap. Kids will have to make do with one doll. LOL. Crazy. Oh, that's what you saw yesterday on the news when you switched over. Yeah, that was absolutely nuts. So I titled this. I don't know if you caught the thumbnail for this video, Fred, but I am proud of this thumbnail. I don't think I'm going to change it because I actually worked really hard on it. So you got the picture of the Melania stand-in with the little white horns that look like they got sawed off. And then the Donny2DOLL-1, which was David Lawrence's commentary from last night. If Donny was a Sopranos character, that would be his name, Donny2DOLL-1. And then the beautiful Ivana in like my favorite photograph of her I've ever seen. I mean, it's just a favorite photograph. It's really cool. And she just looks like an angel or a fairy or some kind of magical, mystical creature that I'm sure she was, because she survived having 3 kids with this monster. And I'm glad people are showing interest in your videos. Well, I am too, Anna B. Is like, I try not to worry about it when I have, under 100 views. It's like these days, it's like 100 views is like a good, satisfying number. It used to be like 1,000. Like I felt like I had to have 1,000 views or I was a failure. So I don't look at it like that. I just look at it like, I don't know. I don't do like the bait and switch in my titles. There's a lot of the stuff that I don't do. I'm not on any other platforms. I'm not tweeting. I'm not doing the social media thing. Like a lot of the channels have other people working for them too that help them with all that stuff. And I just don't worry about it. I just want to make my content. That's my thing. It's like making my content and then, having a good thumbnail. I do like to have a good image for my thumbnail, and I like to have a decent title that kind of portrays what you're going to find in the video and has a little bit of a hook to it, but definitely not a bait and a switch. That freaking drives me nuts because everybody does that all the time. But that's how they kind of teach you when you start your YouTube channel. They kind of teach you like that it's illegal to do a bait and switch, but you better do a bait and switch or no one's going to choose your video over the others. So whatever. Anyway, I like to have all the links in my description in case people want to see where I got some of the crazy crap that I'm talking about, because I'm talking about it like I'm pulling it all out of thin air. And I want people to know that I'm not actually pulling it out of thin air, that I've like studied hard. And I just can't remember everything I'm trying to say. And sometimes I mix it up and cross my wires. So that's all. But yeah, I mean, I was thinking this morning when I did garden more, I wanted to share that with you guys, that I had been promising myself to not grab any more dandelions because, I've got a blister right here. You can kind of see that. This has been all sore, and I wear gloves, but I was wearing thin gloves, so I got thicker gloves. I went out there and I was getting 1,000 more dandelions today. But why was I telling you that? Because I had this idea. Then I had to take a shower because I was getting all like sweaty because it was warmer than I thought it was. And I was out there for longer than I thought I would be, which was why I initially scheduled it at noon. And then I had to push the time way back. Because I was like literally gardening up until like 1:45 without realizing it. I was like, wouldn't that be funny if it was already noon and I had no idea? And I look at my clock and it's 1:45 and I'm like, okay. So then I went in to take a shower and change the time for the live. And the whole point of telling you all of that was that I was thinking of a good idea for a new channel on like trying to train people how to sleuth, because this little thing that I'm on right now, trying to draw the connections here where they don't want the connections drawn, but I am sure that they're there. I am sure of it. I am certain of it. And I'm finding the material, but trying to like prove my case in a court of law is a different story. So if I could like train up a bunch of people, I don't know if you guys are interested in the sleuthing skills. And so it's just kind of like playing with the idea, because I know a lot of people watch the true crime that aren't necessarily going to consider themselves sleuthers. And just, it's fun and it's easy. If it's what you like to do, it's not work. It's, yeah, you have to work hard, but like doing like the public records requests and stuff like that. Like you can just pretty much have a boilerplate. You just send an email and say, I'm asking you for this record of this. And they'll usually email you back and say, can you be more specific? Like, no matter what you say, they always say, can you narrow your request? Almost always. Rarely will they just send it to you, but sometimes they do. Sometimes they just send it to you. And, you know, when they say narrow your request, you can just say, well, you know, I'm looking for these dates. And, but you always want to give a window, because you don't want them to know exactly what it is you're looking for. Like, you don't want to show your hand, because that might put a target on your back, because they're like, oh, somebody's asking for this file, and they'll let the person that has something to hide know. And so, you know, sometimes when people do public records requests, they like, you don't have to give them your name, you don't have to show them your ID, but a lot of times they will try to act like you do. You don't have to be a reporter, you don't have to be a family member. You're just a citizen, and it's your right to request it, period. So simple things like that. And, you know, just trying to get people that are interested in sleuthing. I was thinking, wouldn't that be fun to make a little true crime channel of just kind of sleuthing 101? I don't know. Because I didn't always know this stuff. I mean, people that do it on YouTube act like everybody knows how to do this stuff, but no, everybody learns at some point in time, but it's pretty simple. Okay, so where did I leave off? I'm glad people are showing interest in your videos. Freddie is ridiculous. I agree, Jazz, it's not her. I'm 61 and don't have those wrinkles. Well, I'm glad for you, Annabese. You must drink a lot of water and stay out of the sun as well, and not drink alcohol and not smoke. I mean, those are like the main things that cause wrinkles: dehydration, sun, and smoking and drinking really dehydrate your skin. Not her. Those eyebrows, not her. Her mouth side by side with little T, strangely similar. It's Brian Koberger. I love that. I'm going to highlight that one. So funny. Yeah. I think it was on Hal Sparks. It might have been a different channel where they said that they thought it was Pete Hegseth in drag. Although he wouldn't have all those wrinkles too. Have you guys seen Matt Gaetz? Oh my God. I mentioned him a week or two ago, how he has like Botoxed himself up insanely. Like, he had already been Botoxing himself up for a while. He's just gone off the deep end. Like, he's addicted to Botox. Bushy eyebrows for sure. That's hilarious. I will check it out later, Mrs. Amir. It's too cute. When I saw the thumbnail, I was like, what the heck? I know. Me too. That's why I took a screenshot of that. I was like, what the heck? And that was before I even realized that it had those perfect little white horn nubs. And it's kind of like the demon and the angel, opposite ends of the spectrum. I loathe the bait and switch in titles. I know, I do too. You have a great memory. And you guys all help the live. I'd keep it a lot shorter because I'm not reading your stuff and conversing. And I like it. I love that you guys are here and that it keeps it more spontaneous, because like I never go based on your input. So that's why I love it. Thank you for making it fun. Because when I started my YouTube channel, I didn't know that it was going to be so much fun. I thought it was just going to be a ton of work, and it is a ton of work, but it's very it's just very fulfilling. I enjoy it a great deal, and it's because you're here that it's so fulfilling. So thanks a million. My daughter's jealous that I have to go listen to you. Oh, that's so sweet. Tell your daughter thanks for sharing her mommy's attention. That's funny. Anna B's jazz is awesome, so smooth and authentic. That why I am hooked to her channel. Oh no! Do you guys know Rosie's Insights? Have you? Are you familiar? She is a content creator in New York City, and it's like a. I think it was like a tarot channel is what she started with, but she doesn't really pull cards. She just kind of goes through the headlines and talks off the top of her head. And her story is that spirit is she's like channeling the energy and the spirits, and it's a little interesting, but I really like what she has to say, and I like her energy. She's very smooth and authentic and positive. Same here, Mrs. I'm here. We are all Jazz's top fans. Fred too. You guys are definitely the top fans. Fred has never won a prize. I need to send Fred a prize. Mrs. Amir, I'm going to try to get your package sent out in the next 24 hours. Like I said, I have no idea what the sticker shock will be for international travel like that, but we'll find out. It'll be interesting to find out. Same here, Mrs. Amir. Da, 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 da. I just read that one. Did I highlight it? I did not. All right, so let's wind it down and sign off. Justice Warriors, yes. See, you've been around since the beginning, and I was interested to know because Mrs. Amir, you used to be Mrs. Amir Zaza, right? Same handle. And so I was just curious if you wanted to share why you took off the Zaza, because I loved the Zaza. It reminded me of Zsa Gabor. And oh, Anna Bees, did you get your bracelet yet? Did it come today? I bet if you haven't checked your mailbox, I bet it's there. No, I don't know Rosie Insights. I will check it out. Yeah, I've highlighted her channel in my descriptions a few times recently, and I think it's Rosie. And if you just type in Rosie's Insights, like apostrophe S, it'll pop right up. And she does a really good job. I like her input. I kind of take her with a grain of salt because she is saying that she has this psychic channeling ability, and she does a little bit of like predicting the future, and I don't think that it would offend her for me to say I take it with a grain of salt. I think she recommends that people take it with a grain of salt, that it's more symbolic than literal, like the things that she's saying. Like right now, she's saying this thing about how we're going to be on like a 3-day lockdown where we're not going to have any internet access or electricity. That thing that happened in Portugal or Spain last week where they didn't have power for 3 days, that was like a trial run for the whole world or something this month, May. So she's like, make sure you have 3 days worth of food and water, and it won't be that bad, but don't freak out because you're not going to be able to text people or call people or anything. And I'm just like, oh, that's pretty freaky. I mean, I'm fine with all of that. I mean, I'll miss my channel for 3 days. I actually might not survive that part. but, but anyway, so that's pretty specific. Like she was very specific in her belief that Kamala was going to win the election, but she still believes that Kamala did win the election. So I agree with her on that. And she has like a lot of viewers. Like she has like 30,000 subs. And so she has a lot of trolls, and she has a lot of people like kick back at her and say, well, you said this and that was wrong, so you're an idiot. And she's just like, no, I'm not going to be right all the time. I'm not trying to be right all the time. I just say what it is that Spirit's telling me to say. And if you don't like it, you don't have to watch. So I love her attitude. And then she has this like sidekick person that is part of it with her often. Corinna, I think is the person's name. Anyway, she pretty much does a daily show and goes over the headlines of the news. So it's interesting. You guys would probably like it. And let's see. No nose rings, please. No, Fred, I don't do nose rings either. One of my kids has a nose ring, and I tried to influence her to not do it because of like boogers and stuff like that. But she loves it. And now my other daughter wants a nose ring too. And I'm just like, yeah, yeah, I don't think it's the best idea. I think they look nice on people, but not my thing, especially the ones that are like that. Those do not look nice. Those aren't supposed to look nice. Those are supposed to look like you're a rebel, right? Kicking against the pricks. But I love you guys. Thanks again for being here. We are way over an hour and a half. So let me finish up your comments and then say goodbye. LOL Fred, please. If it's too costly, you can wait for your friend's visit. Yeah, if it's like $50, I will. I expect it will be at least 20, 25. So yeah, we'll see. See what the deal is. I want you to get it. The sooner the better. But my friend will probably be visiting in maybe 2 months, within 2 months. So that's not too long if it's a ridiculous amount. It is probably there. I will go when we get off of here. I was getting a lot of scam texts, which stopped since I removed it. Removed what? Mrs. Amir. Oh, the Zaza. Gotcha. Well, that's interesting. So yeah, maybe people thought that it was like a little risque or something. That is wild. Very weird, Mrs. Amir. And I think they target certain countries. Yes, I don't like nose rings for the most part. They look like bulls. Right. And the ones that are designed to look like a bull are supposed to not be attractive. I think the whole idea is to kind of say F you to the world. So I can respect the F you to the world. I just don't need a bull nose ring to do it. And then the other ones are, those are just kind of pretty, like a little beauty mark. I don't like the rings that people have like through the lip and stuff. Those really, I almost got a belly button ring way before I had kids. And I'm so glad I didn't, since having kids, being pregnant 4 times. And no, that is not long at all. It does look cute on some people. Yeah, my older daughter is the one who has the nose ring. It looks great on her. She's got the coolest nose. She's got the nose I wanted my whole life. It's just not fair. And then now my younger daughter, who's only 13, wants a nose ring. And I'm just like, honey, you do not want that. It's going to hurt a lot. But if she wants it, then maybe for, I don't know, birthday or next Christmas or something. I don't know. Let her save her own money. Anyway, my lips are super dry. So even though we're wrapping up, I feel like I need to use my chapstick right away while we're signing off. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do a video tomorrow. I hope that I can. Like, it'll probably be later in the afternoon, like today's was, but maybe even a little bit later. So I've got an appointment in the morning. So there's that. Love and light, you guys. And then this weekend, I have like a yoga weekend. So I usually don't get to make videos on the weekends. That was one of the puppy dogs going out the room. Yeah, I shared with you guys that I'm probably going to move into my old, bigger studio when the 18-year-old turns 18 and moves out. So that's exciting. Like a month away, I'll probably have a new setup. And so enjoy this while you can, because I don't know. A lot of times I think that I want to just take everything out and just have it be wide open space, just like with the pretty tapestries behind me and maybe the chakra tower. But then I'm like, well, okay, well, maybe this and maybe that. And, I gotta have the justice. There we go. Wrong side. Justice. Gotta have the Statue of Liberty. And then gotta have the A to Z. And then gotta have, my lantern. I love my lantern. And I love that lantern too. And I love this little lantern. And then I started putting, like my little triangle things, my little pyramid things. I'm just obsessive with all this stuff. But then it gets annoying. So then I'm like, I should just get rid of it all, you know? Anyway, I'm excited to move into a bigger space so that I can make my YouTube studio also my yoga studio, and also hopefully also jewelry designing studio, like all in one, because the other room is like twice as big as this. And this is big enough for just a little tiny YouTube studio. But I think I told you it's like probably 8 feet by 10 feet. And the other room is probably like 12 feet by 10 feet, I bet. So yeah, it's like 1.5 times the size of this room, I bet. It's substantially bigger. So that was what I used to have for my setup. And then when my 20-year-old moved out to join the Navy, then the younger brother wanted to move into the bigger room. And I was like, oh, moving is such a hassle, even if it's just like from one room to another in the same house. Like moving just sucks. I hate moving. Done it too many times in my life. So then with him moving out of that room, and see, that was the thing when he wanted to move in there like a year ago, I was like, but you're going to be moving out a year later, so please no. But I went ahead and let him have it. My daughter has a perfect nose. It isn't mine or my husband's. That's the same thing with my daughter, Anna B's. Exactly. It's kind of like a Roman nose almost, but not quite. A Roman nose is a little more distinguished. Hers is just like the perfect model nose. I'll have to show you. I'll post a picture of just her nose. Privacy. Although, yeah, if you go through all my community posts, there are pictures of the family on there. So I sneak them in sometimes because I know people like to see stuff like that, and I like to share stuff like that. You just got to be careful, though. So like I put pictures of the family when we went to see Josh Johnson's comedy live in Cincinnati at Bogart's. That was cool. I think that's the last time I've got family photos in there. That was last summer. Man, time flies, doesn't it? Was it last summer? No, it wasn't that long ago. It was maybe the fall. Like probably early fall. I'll have to look. Anyway, last summer was when I went to the AJR concert with the kids, the daughters, and the husband, and got my mind blown. That was in Cincinnati too. And AJR is coming to Columbus this coming summer, but not Cincinnati. So I would love to catch them again. They're amazing. I highly recommend them if you guys haven't checked out the AJR, Adam, Jack, and Ryan, the three brothers from New York City. The coolest music. I'll put a couple links in the description. Yeah, that their big hit is called Bang. Come Hang Out is one of my favorites, and so many that are my favorites. Burn the House Down. Yes, I'm a Mess. I'm Not Famous. What else? There's a lot of really good ones. That's like the top. 3 o'clock Things is really good. What else? I'm just trying to see which ones come to mind. Maybe Man is really good. Is it called 2025 or something like that? It's like a year in the future that's really good. Yeah, they're pretty amazing. Sober Up, and I already said 3 o'clock Things, but there's one like 3 o'clock Things. Okay, I'm just going to look at my phone while we're winding down, while I'm signing off. AJR songs. So they're all brothers, and they all went to Columbia University. but two of them dropped out. Only one of them. Oh, The Good Part. That's probably the one I was trying to think of that I couldn't think of. Way Less Sad, also a really good one. Record Player, OMG. 100 Bad Days. How could I forget that? Because I was thinking of that with the 100 Bad Days of the new presidency. And Touchy Feely Fool is hilarious too. Turning Out is pretty cool. And I think that's about it. Those are my top ones that I named. And here's a question. What is the best AJR song ever? I wonder what it's going to say for the answer. I would think that it will say Bang, but I don't know. This is not including. Does it say? Oh, I think it's just like asking anybody to put in what they think is their favorite song. Interesting. And are they on that Weezer song? All my favorite songs are slow and sad. I know that they have Weezer joining them on Sober Up, which, you know, Weezer's another favorite of mine. But one of the coolest things about their music, seeing them live, is that it's like theater. It's really amazing. Just the performance art that they do is fantastic. I have a friend who says she doesn't like AJR. The only song she's heard is Way Less Sad. And I love that song, Way Less Sad. Her thoughts are that the lyrics don't mean anything and that the song is dumb. Are there any songs you guys would suggest I show her? Primarily ones that make more sense. That's hilarious. That is so funny. Yeah, and some of these songs that they're mentioning, I haven't even heard yet, so I need to go listen to more. Um, hmm. I've wondered if I've limited myself because the songs that I love of theirs, I love so much that I don't bother listening to the others. Anyway, nice spending time with you all, Mrs. Amir and Fred. You need the creepy thumb. Thank you. You're awesome, Anna Bees. I forgot my creepy thumb. Please hit your like button if you're still here. Okay. That's so funny. Because, yeah, I did run down these. I didn't point to them, though, like I normally do. And, yeah, I know I did my disclaimer. That's always the most important before I say anything insane, right? But what fun is it if you don't say crazy stuff? I mean, that's what I love about my channel is I can express my thoughts and feelings. It's my art therapy. Your kids are beautiful. Oh, Mrs. Amir, you too, my dear. Have a beautiful family. I feel very lucky, even when I feel very abused by some of them when they're teenagers. I have to remember I'm so freaking lucky. We had to fight hard to have kids. So real quick, another one of the channels that I've really enjoyed a lot lately, and I think you guys might know because I've mentioned him a lot. His name is Chris Norland, and he is in South Korea, and he has his wife join him quite a bit. And he is a professor, and he's American, even though he's Vietnamese. He was the one that survived the plane crash, Operation Baby Lift, when he was like 6 months old. And he's like 50 now. And I just wanted to mention him because I'm so excited that him and his wife are trying to have a baby right now. So they've announced it on their channel. And I know he's 50. I don't know how old his wife is, but they're doing like in vitro, I think. So they're challenged. And we were challenged, but we didn't do anything like that. And that's pretty cool that they're sharing that information. But Chris Norland went to the same college at the same time that the Big E was at the University of Pennsylvania. And I think they were both at the Wharton School, but I'm not sure. I know that Donny graduated from the Wharton School at the same university, but long before them. Anyway, Chris Norland did not know the Big E directly himself. He hates him, but he has friends who knew the Big E directly in college. So I first started watching him um, like around the election time, I think. And it was just so interesting getting his input on things. And he's just kind of a nice person and really low key and reasonable, and never conflates never does a bait and switch. And he just comes on and tells you his opinion, and he's just real straightforward. And like I said, his wife is in a lot of the videos with him, and she is one sharp cookie. Like she doesn't know American culture, but it's almost like she does. Like a lot of times he's explaining things to her, but she's just like right on the money anyway. I can see they have such a great connection. And I'm just excited for them because, yeah, having kids is very cool for those people that want kids and those people that are fortunate enough to have kids. But having too many kids, not cool. Having 5,000 kids, not cool. How are you going to give any of them what they need? And then he's trying to invent all these robots to do everything so that he doesn't have to do anything except play video games. So can you make a robot, the Wire Monkey Mom robot, that can give your kids attention so you don't have to pay attention to them? Because when you have 5,000 kids, you're going to need more than 5,000 robots to give those 5,000 kids attention. OMG. You sound like the jerk. That's all I need. LOL. That's one of my favorite. All I need is this thermos, this remote control. Oh, I love that movie. My favoriteest part of that movie, though, is when Steve Martin thinks that the sniper hates the cans. He's at the gas station and the sniper's shooting at him. And he's like, he hates the cans. And then he hides behind the Coke machine and he's like, oh no, more cans. You can't get away from the cans. It's so funny. Let's see. How did I miss those comments? Love and light, ladies and Mr. Field. I watch him because of your recommendation. Oh, awesome. Yeah, he's good. My mom was 41. I was a surprise baby. Anna Bees, I had my last baby when I was 44. She's 13 now. So I'm like 20, I think. Fuzzy math. But yeah, I didn't have my first one until I was 34 because it took us like 6 years to get pregnant with the first one once we felt ready. And then we thought we weren't going to be able to have kids. And then all of a sudden we had 3. And then we were like, just one more. And we actually tried to have a 5th. Can you believe it? Thank goodness that didn't happen. They say it's better to keep your numbers even. Anyway, yeah, because I think we were trying until I was about 50. Is that crazy? But as long as your body knows the pathway of having the babies, you're not in as high of a risk factor category as if you're in your 40s or 50 when you have your first baby. You're very high risk for severe medical complications for yourself and or the baby, and of course Down syndrome, like that Mitch McConnell's wife's sister, Angela Chow, who was 50 and had her 4-year-old kid. I don't know if she adopted the 4-year-old or had a surrogate or if she gave birth to that baby at 46. I mean, it happens that people can do that, but it is really a challenge. But if you've already had babies previously, then you're just in a totally different bracket of risk factors and complication factors and stuff. For anybody who thinks that sounds so crazy to try to have kids up until you're 50, because I already had 4, it was safe to try. But yeah, still crazy because as you get older, it's just harder to keep up with them. Right. Um, that movie is hilarious. Thank you, Mrs. Amir. Well, thanks, you guys. I'm going to go ahead and really sign off this time for realsies. You guys have a great day. Drink your water, eat your protein, eat your veggies, and love and light. And see you soon, hopefully tomorrow. Have a great time doing whatever it is that you're doing. Thanks for watching.